Always like the last beat of that soundtrack, We Can Deal. Welcome to the studios of We Can Deal. It's always a pleasure to have you join us, and my name is Suleiman Babajia Usman. Yesterday on the show we kicked off with discussion about the proliferation of fake and substandard products in Nigeria. Of course, we know from the reports we saw yesterday that it has had adverse effects on the economy and indeed the health of Nigeria. Today we are going to continue in that direction, and it is understood that about 55% of products imported into the country are either fake or substandard. So let's take this background report put together by Francis Obe, and after that we talk more.
In Nigeria, it is estimated that over 55% of imported products are fake and substandard. And this product cuts across all classes and categories of items, ranging from drugs, electrical appliances, tires and tubes, building materials, footwears, to mention a few.
When you talk about Nigerian made products, we already have this attitude, it's in Nigeria. The first thing that comes to your mind is, of course now, low quality, substandard, everything negative. But you know the funny thing? People travel to America, they travel to UK, Canada, they buy gifts for their loved ones. And guess what? Most of them are my product. We produce this desert boats for the militaries. We do this and we export to Senegal. China can never give you the best products. What you don't appreciate here, people outside do. I was in South Africa for an exhibition. CNN, they came to my stand. They could not believe. They said from Nigeria. I said yes, from Nigeria. Did you manufacture all this? I said yes. CNN, they covered DLK.
In the last quarter of 2016, there were reports that some unscrupulous persons flooded the country with plastic rice imported from Asia. Unfortunately, this was at the peak of the festive season when the consumption of rice was expected to rise.
Why do people do fake products? To make money, of course. Because if I give you the original, you scream, it's very expensive. So what I'll do, okay, what's selling now? Okay, what's selling now is this. How we can, there's a way we can get and produce it and nobody will know. But, by the time they know, they've already paid us. So now, these are people without conscience. And the worst and the most painful thing is when you get it into drugs. You use powder, you use chalk, you knock it together. One day, your own parents will be sick. Your siblings will be sick. Your relations, they will be sick. And the hospital they will take them to is the same hospital you've been selling these fake products. So at the end of the day, what goes around comes back. It will come back to you. What we even do now is to even bring in some of these foreigners to come and help us produce the fake products.
In 2020, statistics revealed that the estimated losses due to counterfeiting of high-end consumer goods amounted to $98 billion, including counterfeiting from offline and online media.
Online is even the worst. It's the worst place for you to get the original of what you're looking for, unless you know the company already. If you're not buying from a certified, maybe online platform where you know, my dear, we know what happens on social media when they can carry fake news like fire. And why are you talking about products? That one is even the worst. So the thing is this, when you're buying most of these products you try to get online, if it's a name you don't know, normally they bring something and place on it. I've seen DLK products online for sale that we didn't put.
From consumables to hardwares, the average Nigerian is aware that he could be tricked into spending his hard-earned money on fake products, especially in the building industry where counterfeits are difficult to detect. What are the challenges confronting local manufacturers?
It's really difficult to access forex. The interest rate is too high. By the time they will finish, they won't be able to pay back. They get into trouble. So they rather be, don't worry, let me struggle as much as I can. If I can't struggle, I'll die. My company will die. It's as simple as that. Electricity. Here, in this my factory, for us to work, we use generator almost sometimes 24 hours a day. The government, do they patronize you in such a way that you can have turnover to continue? No.
The gateway into the country is policed by different security organizations at the borders, but one wonders how these fake products find their way into the country.
You don't expect these people to be everywhere. NAFDAC can never be everywhere till something happens and they get you. Government is trying in that one because, it's something that is also painful to them. If there's anything they can do to stop it, they will do it. So I'll give them kudos in this one, honestly.
The fight against fake products is a collective effort.
Let's stop fake products. It does not help. It destroys us instead. But I'm also calling on the government to help us. When we produce, patronize us so that the money can roll over. The other time I heard some of the government organizations importing things that we produce. When you import, what do you expect the ordinary people to do?
Our focus on Weekend Deal today will be on curbing the proliferation of fake products in Nigeria.
This fight is not just to the authorities concerned alone. It's a collective responsibility. We all have a role to play when we talk about curbing this menace of fake and substandard products in our market. Because, at the border, you do whatever you can to stop them from getting into the country. And once they're in the market, the job should not just stop at the borders. You also follow them through the market to ensuring that these, products are, marked out, even though it can be very difficult sometimes. And that is why we need to do the due diligence to ensuring that we stopped their entry from the entry point, talking about customs. And of course, fake products of when it comes to pharmaceuticals is something that is really not just having impact on the economy, but also the lives of the individual. According to the Interpol, that about 1 million lives are usually lost annually due to consumption of fake drugs. So let's take this next report about the proliferation of fake drugs in the Nigerian market, and this is coming from NTA Enugu.
I don't think there's a state that is without circulation of fake drugs, because we still, up to date, have a very fragmented supply chain system of drugs. So it's easy to adulterate, it's easy to penetrate the drug supply and introduce fake drugs.
For several years now, this dangerous trend has persisted despite measures by successive governments to nip it in the bud.
It's just like when you catch a thief today, a new thief is also born today. They keep coming, no matter how you stop them. But I can assure you that most of the standard drug shops in Enugu are so scared of stocking fake and substandard products now because of what a lot of them suffered in our hands.
Late Dr. Dora Akuyili, a one-time Director General of the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, some years back opined that fake drugs are responsible for the growing number of cases of hypertension, heart failure, stroke, and other illnesses in the country.
You're not treating anything, you're just taking a fake placebo like water. Nothing is happening. But in cases where it's a different active ingredient, that looks like the same drug, you can have different side effects. You can have vomiting, bleeding, nausea, fainting even.
While many people have died as a result of ingesting fake drugs, some persons have graciously and luckily survived.
I bought those drugs with every conviction that they are real. Then when I came home, my father started taking the drugs. After 2 days, I noticed he was developing blisters, and on his ear they were turning black with time, and interestingly they were not working. He was not getting any better.
There was a time I had a strong headache with body pains, so I was advised to go and get a paracetamol from a pharmaceutical shop, which I got. And I noticed that after taking this paracetamol for 1 week, that's taking the whole card, even getting an extra card, still the headache persisted and the body pain persisted.
The citizenry could also profit better with more enlightenment on how to avoid the pitfalls of buying and taking them.
If you buy a drug you always used to buy and the color looks a bit different now, it's one of the ways you can tell. And most drugs, especially prescription drugs, have this scratch card. So this is an SMS automation. It's a scratch card you can send whatever the number is to the number listed here, and it would authenticate it. It's a NAFDAC introduced feature, which is very brilliant.
And you put the digits in your phone and you get a reply to tell you whether this drug is fake or not.
What should the government do to curb this ugly trend?
A transparent system is exactly my advice for the government at this point.
Well, definitely, it's something that we will continue to do to advocate for the stoppage of these excesses. And then sometimes it's not just enough for you to see the NAFDAC number written on some certain product. You need to check, because according to the NAFDAC boss herself, she said sometimes they give out these numbers to pharmaceutical companies, and then they realize that these numbers are cloned on some products. So it's actually a difficult time for a lot of people to fish out some of these, products. But I'm sure the agencies concerned will continue to do their job to ensuring that this is there's an end to all of this. Now, yesterday, Ijoma reported the proliferation of the fake products and the substandard products in the building industry. So today we are actually asking an architect about some of the concerns yesterday, and for him it's not just down to these fake products and in the building material or the building industry. The collapse of buildings we see in Nigeria, there's so much to it than just the fake products or the perceived fake products, according to him. So let's take this interview.
Is more to do with human error than the material itself, because we're in control of it, the materials that you're talking about. Yeah, so you see, this construction industry is made up of a team of professionals, architects, structural engineers, builders, mechanical engineers, electrical engineers, who come up with this design. So there's no way with all these people a building will collapse and then you now associate it to an inanimate, material. You're an engineer on site. You know the quality of, let's say, marine board that you need, because if you're talking about the form of a building, how building comes out, it largely depends on the forming, which is the carpentry work. So you know the size of marine board you're supposed to receive on site, and then you're receiving less. That's one. Then you know the size of reinforcement that you're supposed to receive on site, which you're supposed to check. You are right when you say there are substandard materials. Now, if they supply you iron and it's supposed to be Y12, which is 12 mm, they could supply it as 10 mm, which is Y10. What you need to do as an engineer, you just put your caliper on it. If it's less than 12, you reject. But some people, because they want to pay less for it, they receive it and pay less, and they use it. And the engineer has specified that you need Y12 for that column. And now you're receiving 10 and you're using 10 as Y in place of Y12. That is a factor. and it's not tied to the substandard nature of the material. It's tied to human error because you have neglected your job in getting the right iron for that column. When we are talking about blocks that you use in constructing, you went and buy a block that is made with sand and cement, when you are seeing block that is made with stone dust and cement, which is called concrete blocks. You can't compare the two. If I lift one on this hand and I lift one on the other side and drop them, this might not break, this will break. This block is more qualitative than that one.
Which one is specific?
Sancrete,
okay,
which is the one we're using over here. It's made with stone dust and cement. There is sand and cement, sharp sand. It's not as strong as this one. You see, the materials this material is substandard, but it was made by people. But it's you that is constructing that received that one as for use that has aired, not the material. The whole of this concrete you're seeing here is ready mixed. We don't come here and gather laborers and mix. This is mixed by a company to a standard mix ratio by the engineer specification when this building was approved. You get, if the engineer specification is 126 or 124, it will be given to the mixing company. They call them ready mix companies. But when you come here and gather laborers and put manual machine and tell them to mix, and you say you need 124, which is 1 portion of cement to 4 portions of fine aggregate to 6 portions of coarse aggregate, that is cement, sand, and granite. And you're not there to supervise them. They can put 1 bag of cement and put 30 sand and put 50 granite. What happens? You have weak concrete and you cover it and you let people live in the house later in life. You get what I'm saying? Now, there's another factor that leads to collapse of building, which is you can't associate it with bad quality of material or human error. They call it obsolescence. When the building gets old, it gives way. And every building material has its age, has its lifespan. Mud, that's clay, has its own. Concrete block have their own. Steel have their own. Then we have weakness of foundation. Some people may want to cut corners. You see, this is human-related stuff. It's not steel material. When the approval comes and say you are supposed to dig 2 meters down there to get to a stable ground, you get to site because there's cost associated with digging deep. You just come to site and you just tell your engineers on site and you tip wherever you want to tip and then you dig 1 meter. What happens? The foundation that is supposed to go to a stable ground is now floating on maybe where the water level is high. What happens later in life, when there's small movement of the earth, right, or water movement under, there will be differential settlement of the foundation. Maybe one side will collapse and then it makes the building bend one way or the whole building will come down.
Okay.
There are quacks in the industry. We have quack architects, we have quack engineers, we have quack builders, we have quack electrical engineers. They call themselves engineers, but they are not. We in the construction industry need to realize one fact: human lives first. So when you are constructing a structure, be it commercial or residential, you need to know that it's going to house people. It's going to provide shelter for human beings. So when you give these buildings and structures out to quacks to construct, you are subjecting the life of the inhabitants in the future to conditions that are not safe for their lives. So we need to do better.
Yes, we need to do better, and I say we because we all have a responsibility. And for him, it's not just down to these fake or substandard products in the building industry or being circulated in the building industry. It's down to human error, negligence of some things that we need to consider before any structure is erected. Okay, during the week, we had a chat with the PRO of Nigerian Customs, Mr. Timi Bomodi, and of course, he said a whole lot of things as far as the importation of fake and substandard products in the country. So let's take this interview. All right, Mr. Timi Bomodi, it's a pleasure to have you join us. Now, we are looking at proliferation of fake products, if you like, substandard products into the country. It could be harmful to the economy and also the health of Nigerians as well. But we want to know, customs happens to be the first point of call when we talk about importation of goods into the country, and we're just wondering, why do we still have some of these products, dominating our market?
Yes, you're right, is the lead agency at the ports. But customs is not the only agency at the ports. Like, to your point about fake or substandard goods, customs with goods of this nature would cede authority to Standards Organization of Nigeria, because that is, their job. They are the ones that are supposed to verify if goods that are being imported are up to the required standard for goods coming into the country. So at the ports we have joint examinations, not just customs, but all the designated agencies that are supposed to be part of that examination. They are present there. We examine the goods with them. We take care of the classification, valuation aspect, and ensure that the goods that are imported are not prohibited or they don't require some other kind of regulation. But when it comes to standard authenticity of the products, then standard organization, that's their purview. At the end of examinations, all agencies who partook in that examination will sign the examination form just to authenticate that this exercise had been duly carried out.
Now, Mr. Bomodi, the concern really is on the fact that, yes, we have, agencies that are working closely with customs to ensuring that they see some of this, substandard products from getting into the Nigerian market. But despite this effort, we still see these products. What really happens? Is there like a compromise from these agencies, including the customs?
Well, I wouldn't know.
It's something that we cannot really avoid.
I wouldn't know, but since the emphasis is on fake or substandard products, it would be the purview of SON, that is the Standard Organizations of Nigeria, to address that issue. As I said earlier, we are mainly concerned with the declaration from the standpoint of legality, that is, it's not prohibited either absolute or by trade, and from the point of view of value, if the value is okay, and the appropriate revenue is collected. So we see that aspect of the job to the authority that is by law recognized as the final authority on issues of standard. But you also have to realize again that Nigeria is a vast country, and there are other channels through which goods can come into the country. And so we're talking about the ports, both sea and airports. You're also talking about borders. We have challenges managing the borders.
Okay, now let's look at you're still on the customs. I know you have a department now that check some of these goods before they're imported into the country. And the other day I went to the market and I went to buy a generator, and my engineer told me, be careful because there is you might have the substandard one instead of the good one, and you wonder, how do you keep check on some of these things? Is it just the son that does that, or you also have a department that is equipped to check some of these abnormalities?
We have a unit that basically looks out for stuff like that, protecting the brand rights of organization, protecting intellectual property rights. And what we do is we collaborate with some of these companies, and they train us on how to look out for how we can differentiate between the original of an item and the fake version of it. Now these trainings are continuous, but still the final authority has to be SON. So our officers in that unit they've made quite a number of interventions. We've made seizures associated with people importing books, academic materials supposedly printed or published in Nigeria, but imported. And you see on the cover of the book or inside the book, you see place of publishing is Nigeria. Meanwhile, this thing is coming from outside the country, and you know that they are obvious. The intention is to infringe on the rights of the intellectual property of some other individual or organization, and those goods are seized without hesitation. Regards the generator that you brought in, it's usually very difficult when you're talking about machines and other equipments where you have a good fake to make the distinction between the one that is real and the one that is not.
Yeah.
So the challenge is there, but the training, once they know that we figured out one aspect of how to deal with the issue of these things, they will create another way of trying to, as we are getting better, they too are improving in their skills, and that is why it's very important, and the service too takes it as very important, the need for officers to be constantly trained in this aspect of the job.
Well, just share with me one or two experiences whereby these importers have managed to, deceive or find their ways into the Nigerian market from your experiences so far. What techniques, what methods have they adopted to ensure that they bypass some of these stringent
the most
measures?
Most common, I would say, is when they try to pass off. Take a brand, for example.
Yeah.
Let's take Nike as a brand. There are certain telltale signs that you can, because we've had this training with the people that are authorized to bring in that brand. There are telltale signs that will show that this is not the original. And it is in the little details. Maybe the way the swoosh on the Nike brand is presented, it won't be exactly the same. Maybe the word Nike won't be exactly the same. So to pass it off, they can put, Nika, Nika.
Yeah.
Now, but they write the A in a way that it looks a bit like the E. So if you are not attentive, that can slip by. And so it is with a lot of all these other items that people try to pass off as the original. So it takes a lot of diligence on the part of the examining officers to be able to sort things like this out. But more importantly, we know that most products, or virtually all products that come into the country, require a SUNCAP certificate.
Okay.
That is a certificate that says yes, they've
That's
applied,
yeah.
they've been vetted by standard organizations, and they've been approved to come in. So when they come into the country, you have people from SUN at the port, and their job is to match what is present in the container with what they have documented. And if they say that this thing complies with the rules and regulations concerning standards, then custom is not at liberty to counter their argument.
And I also know that in some instances you have importers who who forcefully declare what is being brought in, some false declaration, of course, and then concealment. Talk to me about the ways you have been able to manage this excesses.
Yeah, that is a constant. It's constantly on the menu of customs when it comes to processing imports or exports. There are many reasons why people would either want to falsely declare or conceal certain items. Those items may be prohibited, either absolutely prohibited or prohibited by trade. They may be dangerous goods. They may be goods for which the right documentation had not been gotten, like what we talk about. Either it is certification from NAFDAC or from standards organization for one reason or the other, or just to simply evade. If they are high duty goods, they want to evade the payment of the correct revenue. So they play all these tricks to try to get their goods in. Sometimes they will use certain Okay, let me give you a typical example. This I experienced as a few years back. Somebody brought in a Porsche, a car, brand new Porsche, and in a 40-foot container. And what he did was he encased the car with a wooden frame and put carpets over the car, and then they loaded used engines, that is used motor parts, all around. The car was at the far end of the container, and they used engine car parts now all over. So if you open the container, what you first see are the
engine
engines, and these things are very heavy. They are very heavy, difficult to offload manually, very, very difficult. But because we have a very robust intelligence unit that is constantly sharing information, we have our ways of getting information and all that. We were made to understand that there was a concealment in that container, and
You
it
had to
took
dig.
yes, it took more than a whole day
Wow.
to get these used auto parts out of the container before we could get to that Porsche. Now, that car, the used auto parts were used to conceal the car, whose value is extremely high and whose duty also is extremely high.
So in a way, they're trying to avoid paying
The
for
payment
it.
of, not that the car is prohibited, the
Yeah.
car is not prohibited, but the duty attached to that vehicle is extremely high.
Well, it's good to know that you're making progress, but one area that one would say is custom really doing their job, because today rice importation is banned in Nigeria, of course, through the land borders, and wherever you go today, whichever market you visit in Nigeria today, you certainly see foreign rice being, dominating the market. And we know that there's this Form M that you have to fill before you bring goods into the country. But for more than 2 years now, that is not really presented, where you see people writing rice, they want to import rice. It's not there, but yet we see this product in the market. Is custom not doing their
You are
job?
correct. You can't open a Form M that you want to import rice today.
Why?
That is fiscal policy of government, and we are only there to implement policy. Ours is not to ask why. So we do that. Now, you talk about foreign rice being present in the market. You also have to admit that we also have a lot of local rice in the market as we speak.
Definitely.
And that shows that our efforts to combat the smuggling of rice is actually yielding results. And we have so many tools. When you talk about aerial surveillance, you have the use of drones. You also need scanners at the borders, and you need an integrated ICT infrastructure that will be able to pull live data from these sources and try to make sense out of it, and at the same time have the capacity to interact with the people in the field, giving them real-time data so that they can enforce. And some of these things are lacking. That is why the service has taken the initiative to begin to think out of the box and say, oh, what are the possible solutions that would have, and there has been certain solutions put out there. The service has taken the initiative, has tried to partner with indigenous company, try to introduce these items that I talked about. And yes, we anticipate that there's going to be very positive results, in the sense that by the time we begin to adopt technology and we begin to integrate these different aspects of technology, then our enforcement capabilities will be highly enhanced. And we will see a lot of results. Even right now, we're seeing a lot of results. Yes, you see rice in the market, but if you go to all our government warehouses, that is the warehouse where seized items are kept, they are practically overflowing with rice. There is just no space. We are seizing rice more than we have space to keep them.
Okay, maybe some people will start saying that, okay, why are you still keeping them? Maybe you should start sharing them. As we wrap up, maybe it's something you need to look into. Even though I understand that recently you did a test on one of the rices, which happens to be, filled with high volume of lead.
Yes. The government is very careful as to the decisions it makes, because we also have to think about the health and well-being of Nigerians. You're correct. Recently, one of the seizures that were made, over 9,000 bags of rice, they were subjected to tests by the Food and Drug Administration body, and they found heavy contents of lead in that rice, and that is not fit for human consumption. So imagine that the government, in its desire to help indigent citizens, puts that thing out there. The consequences would have been dire for the public. And that is why we are very careful about things of that nature. Yes, we have some of them that are fit for consumption, and we also have others that are quite dangerous. So we take proper care to ensure that any action that will be taken in line with the disposal of these items will not, create any adverse situation for Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Mr. Timi Bomodi. It's the fact that it's good that we recognize the fact that we have challenges, but it's also, satisfying that a lot is being done in ensuring that these excesses are being checked. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, let's just go on a break, and after that, we continue with the program. Well, thank you for staying with us. Now, let's go back to the reports we have been sharing, and this time around, we're taking the one from Ayuba Tete, and the focus is on the fake products in the entertainment and book industry in Nigeria. Of course, according to the Copyright Commission, the regulatory agency in the country, it says that Nigeria loses about $3 billion to piracy. Let's take more from Ayuba Tete.
Every time you relax in your leisure to watch your favorite movie, or listen to your favorite piece of music, or do some casual reading, you are enjoying the painstaking effort of the creators of these sources of entertainment. But many of these creators aren't duly remunerated, as their books, movies, and music are pirated on a daily basis. According to the World Bank, as at 2014, 82 billion naira was reported to have been lost by Nollywood alone to piracy. The Nigerian Copyright Commission has reported that the country loses $3 billion to piracy yearly. Still, pirated works can be seen sold at traffic lights and small book and CD stalls nationwide. The problem seems to lie in three parts. The first being that the creators of these intellectual properties aren't following the proper process of registering and protecting their works.
Now here's the thing, any work, any literary work, any creative work that is made, automatically the copyright belongs to the creator of that work, right? But it makes sense for you to register your register the copyright as a means of protection, just in case someone wants to plagiarize your work or steal your sounds or your writings or paintings or whatever. Then it makes sense for you to register the copyright, and that's what affords the creator some kind of protection. Books are pirated and are sold, and there's, like I said, it's a booming market. There are lots of people who are buying the books. Lots of people who are buying the books who do not know that the books have been photocopied or pirated or something like that. Lots of buyers are not aware.
Secondly, is that most of these creators are apprehensive at the expenses and cumbersome process of registering their works, and probably the legal procedures if their copyrights gets violated.
Nigeria does have, well, I guess we could say, appropriate laws to protect creatives, but maybe the issue would be maybe people don't know that there are laws in place to protect them. And then maybe there's also the challenge of having to go through the process of a legal battle. That in itself can be a costly endeavor, right? So I think that maybe that's why we haven't heard too much in terms of people suing perpetrators of copyright theft, right? But I also think that a lot of people are not aware that there's legal recourse for when they have their copyrights infringed upon.
Lastly is the digitization of these works. Technology has provided the option of non-physical versions of books, movies, and music readily available in the palm of your hand via smartphones and tablets. But despite this, some people still love the appeal that these physical copies provide.
I love the feel of a book in my hand. You know, I want to smell it. I want it to be beside me while I'm in bed so that as soon as I wake up, I can roll over, pick it up and read it, right? I love real physical books, but I do understand that many writers also have the option of ebooks because millions of consumers around the world want ebooks, and it's also easier. For example, if a book written by a Nigerian, published in Nigeria, also has an e-version, then this is access to billions of potential readers. I cannot say with any authority that digital works do not get pirated, because we know that digital works do get pirated, whether it's music, whether it's film, whether it's books, right? We know that this happens. I'm not very familiar with what laws we may have in Nigeria for the protection of digital work, although I am aware that the Copyright Act 2004, I think it's going to be amended or repealed to have some digital protection included.
In an ever-evolving, technologically driven world, it is up to creatives to find ways where their intellectual properties are protected while being enjoyed, and for the loyalists who patronize them to continue to insist on buying only original movies, music, books, and other forms of entertainment.
That means we, the consumers, we also have a role to play in ensuring that we get the right product and stop the patronage of these fake or substandard products, because some of this, this industry actually has huge potential, but the legal framework must be seen to be responsive and effective in other way to forge ahead and protect the rights of these content producers, because they need value for their talent in order to sustain it. Because take it, we all enjoy what they put out there, but sometimes the consumers really don't know their rights, and of course it's very important to know that. But before we take that report, which will be coming from Ibadan, let's take this next report, which has to do with the proliferation of fake tires and automobile spare parts in the country.
People want to buy new products or old ones from abroad at the cheapest price possible. This is applicable to all kinds of products, especially spare parts of vehicles and tires, amongst others. The effect of not patronizing made in Nigerian products impact in the economic growth.
Don't produce a quality product like this, especially when you talk about wheels or talk about parts, spare parts. Nobody can listen to you. You understand? Because if you talk about Aba, I don't know about Aba, but if you talk of Lagos here, nobody patronizes you with Nigerian products.
The spare parts, they are producing it, but the cost now is very, very expensive, simply because no light. Light is the major problem we are having in this country.
However, we have regulatory bodies to ensure that the proliferation of fake products are checkmated. But what we still see in the market is fake, counterfeit, and foreign products.
Yeah, it's our mandate to remove such products from the market in order to protect the consumers from consuming or using such products. But at the same time, we also have that mandate to educate the consumers to create awareness on these goods. So, in union with brand owners, we try to do such enlightenment campaign to allow to make the consumers know the difference between the original of such products and the fake ones or substandard ones that are in the market. From our routine surveillance work, we identify such products in the market and then also carry out enforcement.
How do we change our attitude to buy our own locally produced products?
We are asking our people to be patronizing Nigerian product more than foreign made, because it's as good as that foreign made.
Without our own Nigerian made, I don't think people will drive Mercedes today, because we make everything to be cheap to our own creation.
Despite all this effort by the government, rights of consumers being infringed upon, counterfeit and fake products prevent the market from thriving and create opportunities for foreign products to thrive in our markets. When we patronize our own products, we be patriotic to our country. It will enhance our foreign reserve, make Nigeria financially stable, improve the standard of living, promote our local products, create job opportunities, help in our social security, and ultimately reduce crime rates.
All right, moving on. I'm sure you remember last year, from Kano State, where about 10 people lost their lives and several admitted into the different hospitals after consuming a particular juice, that found its way into the state. And that is just one of the cases whereby you have substandard products or fake products, if you like, drinks or beverages, being consumed by Nigerians. The effect is always disheartening, leading to loss of lives and people being hospitalized. That comes with a huge financial impact as well. So let's take this next report put together by Dayo.
It is now a common occurrence to see the news in the media with stories of fake drinks and beverages being manufactured or imported and sold to unsuspected members of the public.
They'll say NAFDAC registration number. But if you don't go further to check on those places, they will just put dot, dot, dot. The numbers are not there. Some of these people, they will print those things and put it there. If you are not careful to check if the numbers are actually there, you just, when you see the NAFDAC number, you say, okay, it's approved. So the public should try and go check if those numbers are there. If it's NAFDAC approved, and of course, if it's not expired, I think it's healthy.
The constant influx and proliferation of drinks and beverages in the Nigerian markets is generating a lot of anxiety amongst Nigerians. While the dealers in the shady business are smiling to the banks, their actions have sent so many citizens to the grave or caused health complications, including physical disabilities.
The health implications could be ranging from poisoning to some nutritional implications. All these fizzy drinks or carbonated drinks, they are high in calorie and they could predispose one to some health nutritional implicated diseases like type 2 diabetes, hypertension, overweight and obesity. Most of these fake drinks that are in places that are not regulated. One may not know what is in them, so that's where the poisoning comes in.
Despite various efforts by the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, standard organizations of Nigeria, and other agencies to combat the menace, the Nigerian market remains flooded with unwholesome fake drinks and beverages.
Agencies like NAFDAC and Standard Organization of Nigeria, and to the best of my knowledge, I believe they're doing their work. But the problem we have is that there is a whole lot of bastardization. Some of these people do these things at the back of their yards or houses. So some of these agencies too have not really busted on them. So that's why it's looking as if they are not working, but they've not gotten information about such places, which I know if they do, they will still carry out the hand of law on them.
To reverse these ugly trends, observers say members of the public should endeavor to give information to the security and other monitoring agencies if they suspect any illegal or unprofessional production of drinks and beverages in their localities.
Whatever goes into your body is what being careful for. So check for drinks that are registered, the ones that are registered with appropriate bodies. You can buy from direct producers.
That is how you continue. 15 naira. I beg, take me for NTA so that people will see me. 15 naira.
Well, we know that the laws are there to be implemented. Whatever we need to do to ensuring that we, put a stop to this menace in the society, we must surely, engage in that act. So let's implement the laws, bring the culprits to the books. Very important, so as to serve as a deterrent to others who are thinking about engaging in these nefarious activities that is really causing havoc to the economy and the lives of individuals. Now, it's also very important for us, the consumers. I'm saying us because I'm also a consumer of some of these products, not the fake ones, I must say. So it's very important to know our rights. So how much do you know? And if your right is being infringed on, what do you need to do to get redress? Let NTA Ibadan guide us.
Consumer rights are basically aimed at raising awareness about individual rights and needs. Their rights range from rights to basic needs, safety, information, choice, redressal, consumer education, healthy environment, compensation, and right to be heard, amongst others. It involves the practice of safeguarding buyers of goods and services. It protects against unfair practices of trade, and it's very essential for the consumers to know these rights.
A consumer protection right, I know, but then I don't know how far it has been. I wouldn't know how far that right is actually practiced in this part of the world.
We are talking of consumer rights. We are talking of the right under law that is agreeable to a consumer that is purchasing a property. They purchase a good and not good, they have the right to reject it. They have right also to return any goods before completion of the transaction. If it doesn't satisfy you, you can return it. They also have rights to quality services from the seller of the product they are purchasing. Not every consumer knows their right. Even if you have about 100% of all of us now, about 95% doesn't know their right. Only 5% know their own right. And when we are talking of this even 5%, those 5 even think it's just a matter of maybe they are shouting. No, there is no guiding it.
When rights of consumers are violated or infringed upon in areas of fake products, poor quality, or substandard goods, what are the procedures for seeking redress?
If I've bought something and I feel, what I've bought compared to what I've paid is on the high side, of course I'll feel very bad, you understand? But unfortunately, the honest truth is, even if you take it back to where you bought from, most likely you will not be given the kind of attention you really desire. Then if you get to the seller, most likely the seller tells you, oh, okay, add more money, then I'll give you something of higher quality.
If any customer buys any of our products and the product has issue, so we have a car care that we invite that customer to. And it is two ways. If it is factory error, they will repair the product for free. And if it is self damage, they will just pay a little token and collect the product.
Sometimes, most of some people, they'll only try to look the quality one. They'll go and reduce the quality to lower quality. And most of sometimes, the lower quality, it will look as if that you are buying the original one. And when things be like that sometimes, it will be cause most of confusion. And when you now think that maybe they give you the lower price there, maybe it's the lower quality that they give you there, they now less the price, and you are convinced. You now say that, God, Mr. Man, you want to cheat me. So please, I won't agree. Better collect your goods and give me your money. See, if you believe in yourself, that you know that you give a good quality, and when you explain to him, and she's not listening to you, and don't want to refuse to listen, don't need to bother, don't need to disturb yourself. Because if you believe yourself and sure yourself, the only thing you can do is that just collect your things and return the money back.
Like if you bought a property and doesn't suit your position, you don't like it again, you can return it at the appropriate time. If you have to return it, you return it promptly. And if they now refuse to take it from you, you may either sue them to court. There's what we call Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Act 2019. It was specially made to protect the interest of the consumer. You can write a complaint to that commission that this is what you have experienced from maybe a supermarket or a dealer, that they are trampling upon your right. Or if he has money or she has money, they can sue them to court. And at times he may even approach these people on their own. Maybe they can listen, because they knew on their own that he or she has right to challenge whatever they have disposed to him or her.
The challenges of enforcing the Consumer Protection Act and the rights of the consumers are a major problem confronting the effectiveness of these laws. Ignorance and lack of proper information and awareness on the part of consumers and the predominance of illiteracy in our society are contributory factors in the enforcement of these rights.
All right, so now you know that as a consumer, your rights are protected by the law. So whenever you purchase any product that you deem is fake or substandard, just ensure that you do not throw away the exhibit. Take it back to where you purchased the product, and if you don't have it, the problem resolved, you know where to take your case to. Indeed, God bless Nigeria. And for the topic, we must continue to work hard to ensure that we put a stop to the menace of fake products, or if you like, substandard products in Nigerian markets. That's how much we can accommodate on the show, so we say our bye-byes now and promise to be back next weekend.